Hi, and welcome back to Stasis, where we just did the most horrifying thing ever. We can't run. What do we have in our inventory to remember me again? Because it's been a few days and we have our own personal data tag. Great. We are very slow walking. So the elevator works again. Let's take it. Cutscene. Oh.
A biological quarantine has been initiated.
Now? Interesting.
Level 2. Kitchen knife and snowflake are off limits. Level 3. Hydroponics is off limits.
Oh. This is grown over by the fungus, I think. Although that more looks like vines of some kind.
Perfect.
Where are you, John? Without the PDT, I can't track shit.
Hydroponics. Or what's left of hydroponics. The shaft's covered in growth. I'm not going anywhere.
Wait, let me check the blueprints. Yes, hydroponics has a service elevator.
Affirmative.
Keep me in the loop.
The vines may attempt to redecorate the elevator before too long. There is an entrance to a laboratory to the right. And another one to the lower right. One to the left. And nothing else here. Fans. Although the fans were installed to keep the air cycling, they're now helping reduce the buildup of vegetation. Mainly by cutting it up. So these are more vines than shrooms. So yeah, giant looms over the room like a giant forest mushroom. Directly proving me wrong. I can run again. Ugh.
Are you fucking kidding me?
What?
It's some sort of insect.
Keep your distance.
It's tied up. Doesn't look like it can get loose.
Tied up. How big is it?
Big.
So they were harvesting it for its milk. Okay. Happy face. That's the queen insect. Series of struts hold the grotesque creature in place. A mottled abdomen, swollen egg sac, or plump milk gland. Possibly all three. Ugh. It's difficult to grasp the size and form of this insect creature. Udder-like protuberances sprout from its bulbous abdomen while the pincers stab the air. Let's try to interact with that one. It said it's friendly, didn't it? There was like a smiley face. Yeah, there was a smiley face. I've been eaten. Good that I did that first. But there was like... Maybe I have to...
Are you fucking kidding me?
What?
It's some sort of insect.
Keep keep your distance.
It's tied up. Doesn't look like it can get loose.
Tied up. How big is it?
It had this side kind of smiley face. I wait now for the smiley face. Maybe I can interact during the smiley when there's a smiley face there. Does it come up again? Now. What did I do? It was smiling. It was my friend.
Too close.
It was smiling and I ripped it apart. The queen pincer. Great. I don't go near that thing again. Wow. Let's see what we have. More overgrowth. Hardened ember. Ember triggers from the tree, but most of it has hardened into an incredibly tough compound. I don't have my drill anymore. Is that why you gave me that? Yep, that's exactly why. The sap wells up as you pierce the ember deposit and slowly spreads across the floor like honey. It's pungent and sweet. Yay, put muck in my inventory. Great. At least there's it was said it was a quantum storage device, so I assume this is like a pocket dimension thing, so that's not really in my suit. Then there's a milk processor. This receptacle stores the processed milk. The vines seem to be trying to plug this terminal out of its wall socket. So far they have not succeeded. From Dr. S. Gray to Dr. A. Tenshu, Foolish Pranks. Azika Tenshu and Dr. Gray. With the greatest respect, could you please stop the ridiculous pranks your group insists on carrying out in the fertilization chambers? I will admit that they are hardly dangerous, but they are undignified. I certainly wouldn't like to be present when a cane inspector stumbles upon young Theodore racing in front of the Queen, hands above his head while shouting, "I'm covered in bees." It is unprofessional. Please instruct them to cease their foolishness at once. And from Dr. Wei, Eleanor Wei, to Akiza Tenshu, about a matter of spirit. Don't worry, I don't think that you're losing your mind. Ghosts are a possibility, but I suspect what you are hearing is perhaps the sound of devices playing in other parts of the ship. I do believe at the moment that the corporeal world and spirit world are very much divided. So try to calm yourself. If you'd like, I can talk to someone in cargo storage about those sounds, but I wouldn't worry about it. This island is full of noises, but pay them no mind. For once I'm quoting Shakespeare and not the Bible. Get some sleep and maybe do fewer night shifts. Oh, praise God Almighty, I couldn't be happier. Dr. Gray took me to one side and told me that I was the only person who had the skill and ability to take control of the nursery. He promoted me on the spot and said that I was now personally responsible for the Queen. The royal jelly that she produces has proved to be incredibly useful. I discovered through my own analysis that not only is the jelly an essential nutrient for the insect population, but that it has other amazing physical properties too. It accelerates molecular bonding in certain substances, acting as a thickener for many natural substances while also regenerating their natural properties. With some engineering, I imagine we could turn this into a true medical breakthrough. I imagine doctors in hospital wards on Earth using our bonding agent to heal wounds. To heal wounds instantly. Perhaps finally the Tenshu name will be revered in medical history instead of reviled. The Queen is a temperamental little thing, a fiery lady to be sure. Ah, but Queenie, you forget. I grew up in a family with more than one fire-breathing dragon. If I can handle my mother, I can certainly handle you. Ha! Although when she is milked, she's rather docile. I dare say she's rather attached to me. I'm sure I heard her purring at me. That's the only way I can describe it. I'm aware that she's a bug and all, but it sounds rather like approval. My parents kept hives of bees, so I've never been squeamish over insects, and I can tell the difference between aggression and favor. I'm still the only person who can get close without being bitten, and her bite can leave one hell of a mark, let me tell you. Hodgkin said he will report the side effects upon his return from sick leave. His side effects, okay. In other news, Dr. Maracheck, one of Dr. Gray's subordinates, has requested samples of the jelly for experiments with his tree resins. He thinks it may have a use as an industrial adhesive. This is little way from my original intention, but I do suppose it's a start. I try so hard to be positive, to be the person whose enthusiasm never once flags nor fails, but when you start hearing rumors that appall you to your very core, I try to shrug it off, but recently it's become harder to deny it. I've been hearing sounds from the elevator shafts, the sounds of a wailing infant crying out in pain before suddenly being silenced. That is no rumor. Sometimes I lay awake at night and I swear I can hear the crying of children. I can't be dreaming. So that's why he said he was hearing ghosts, because he didn't believe in them doing experiments on childs, but they do. I saw Ingratia to confess my fears. He gave me a prescription to help me sleep, but something in his eyes said that he knew I was hearing something real, and worse, it was something he was hearing too. More rumors. Dr. Mellon is using children in his research. I have to ignore it. If it were true, Kane would remove him immediately. Surely. Even Dr. Gray appears to find it an uncomfortable subject for discussion, and this is a man who slept easily when Isaac got his left cheek torn off by the Queen. Is Dr. Gray short of staff again? Once again I'm being forced to manage multiple objects, only this time it's an examination of an acutely destructive new spore that seems to have infected a few of the pots. First observation, it's a parasitic fungus that grows faster than a common weed, and like a common weed I feel it should be destroyed, but I know that Dr. Gray won't do it. He, like many other of the senior directors, sees any new species as something to be exploited or weaponized. In the darkness something stirs. I can't say what, I'm too afraid to find out what it is. When Ivan and Theo disappeared a month back, we assumed they had somehow deserted. That was the official stance taken by Dr. Mellon and the board anyway. Last night's event proved that there's something on board with us, though God knows where it's from. The Queen was more rambunctious than I've seen her before, and milking her was certainly more challenging than I'm used to. Edmund was assisting. We've been short on staff and some of our volunteers are simply refusing to show up for work. The Queen's environment has been disturbed a great deal, and so her violent tendencies are more pronounced. Edmund was on his way out of hydroponics when it happens. Something, put him into one of the air ducts. I didn't see much. I saw him walking towards the decontamination chamber, and the next moment his legs were kicking the air as whatever it was dragged him up and into the ceiling while he squealed like a pig. I'm resigning tomorrow. I did not sign up for mad science. I came to Kane to serve humanity and clear my family's name, not to watch my crewmates be slaughtered by a species that Dr. Mellon refuses to confirm or deny. If only I'd resigned when I said I would. Great thing to show up as the next thing, and if only they hadn't ignored my demands to have the infernal fungus destroyed. It's growing over me now, over my skin. It's burrowing into my flesh. The insects attacked again today, and it seems to only worsen. Dr. Gray was destroyed by a swarm of them, and now he's only fertilizer for whatever ravenous mold he was so curious about. The uninfected are making an attempt to escape. This doesn't include me. The emergency flares keep the bugs away. Emergency flares, great. I told them to give me the flare to hold back the bugs so they could get away. I hope they escape soon. The fungus is making my head feel funny. I'm sure I can feel it growing through my ear canal. And so we have to find his corpse to find the flare. The Queen's life cycle. Monday, healthy, docile, responsive to stimuli, making us normal. Tuesday, no activity. Wednesday, healthy, heightened aggression, recommended milking with only experienced staff. Thursday, no activity. Friday, healthy, highly aggressive, 3 personnel wounded in milking. Saturday, healthy, quiet, unusual brooding behavior, milking normal. Sunday, healthy, aggressive, only fatality via venom pouches. 1 fatality. Oh, he killed someone. She killed someone, sorry. Yeah. So, yeah, the Queen got aggressive, and that in between 1 week she got very aggressive, which is due to the fungus, I think. Processed milk. And we got Queen's milk. So let's check milk cables. And the milk goes into the tree. Interesting. Milk from the creature is being fed into the tree by a pair of cubes, and then that's the stuff I took out. So let's see if in the overgrowth we can find a corpse of this guy, but I don't think so. Left or right? Right. I'm hearing insects. There's a corpse. Chris Rogers. The insects swarm in great clusters, their bodies luminous like fireflies. Moss-covered terminal, I think. But I can... a wall. Okay. There's an oxygen collection tank. 2 of them. 3 of them. I think these insects are... they killed him, so I shouldn't approach them until I have, like, a cure. Or not a cure, like a anti-insect stuff. That's safe. In case something goes wrong. Queen's milk.
I don't think this will fit.
Okay. That doesn't work. So there's a fast spinning. Hey, it's not slow. This fan's constant spins sends the heavy blend of botanical scents through the room. This one is fast for once. There's another corpse up here. Shies Young. Jim Taylor. And it continues down there. No continuation. Collapsed bridge. Okay, other room first. Okay.
This is ridiculous. How did it grow this wild in a few months?
Locked door. Overgrowth. There's a corpse of...
These plants can't naturally develop this fast.
Kane developed the technology to accelerate plant growth. Oxygen is big business.
You call it fertilizer. Another corpse, but still not the right one. There's a broken vaporizer. Computer terminal. Static. Another monitor displaying the vessel's favorite show, Static. Great. A second computer terminal, a vaporizer pad. This is an evaluation platform for specimens and samples to be inserted into the glass chambers. Vegetation is wickedly dense and as strong as twisted steel cables. So this terminal belongs to this pad, so I'm going for the other terminal first. What do I want to vaporize? Tree sap.
Probably not a good idea.
Queen's milk. Oh, we're vaporizing the milk. Okay. So what else in this room? More spinning fans. Desk. Oh. Polished metal plaque is engraved with the slogan "Gardening, just another day at the plant." But this vaporizer has been punctured by a hole, leaving a spiderweb of cracks in the glass. Should I use the plaque to do that? No. The sap?
Maybe if it... No, that won't work.
Can I make the... Oh, can make it glued. Wow. Fix it. Now it bends. Now the metal plaque bends. What powers do you have in your arms, man? Let's go to the terminal. From, I already forgot the name with A. Akiza, Tenju to Dr. Gray. I do not wish to seem unprofessional or impolite, but would ask you that you not press me on the subject of my ancestry any further. I was nearly refused entry to medical school on the basis of my family's background, and the torment I suffered at the hands of my school peers regarding my great-great-uncle was unbearable. I am fully aware of his actions. I have seen countless photographs and documents of the consequences of his work. I took this position to change our world for the better, not to be reminded of the skeletons in my family's closet. I've enjoyed our working relationship thus far, Dr. J, but I prefer my family history to no longer be a topic of our conversations. Thank you for understanding. I could look up if Tenchu is a real name and a real person who did something. By the name Akiza Tenju, I think he's a Japanese guy. So his great-great-uncle may be someone real who committed war crimes in the Second World War or something like that. But this is just a wild guess. Yeah, it doesn't have to be that way. I don't recognize the name Tenchu. EF Way. That's Eleanor, I think. Or the other one. There was also a male with an E name. I enjoyed our meal yesterday. It was refreshing to hear men. Okay, that's Eleanor. It was refreshing to hear men so outspoken on this ship. I appreciate your candor, and I do agree that perhaps it's time the board was shaken up a little. Although this is merely an observation rather than an action plan. I think the top leaderships need some new blood. I'd second you if you decided to take on the challenge yourself. Your impeccable scientific pedigree more than qualifies you. By the way, did you know where they were keeping that new cargo? It seems rather like a waste of resources if they don't even tell us where it is. Dr. Sebastian Gray. Finally, I have more room for the Lincesi Harvey strain, which I've been working on so hard. It's days like this that humanity truly proves why it crawled out of the ocean before any other. My section has been expanded. I have more staff, true, but they are drones and have little other function. Now we can expand the research potential of Project Kitchen Knife and see what else the plants can yield. The oxygen production rate is quite unlike anything my initial projections could have predicted. Last year it became the worst kept secret on the Groomlake, and all of a sudden I had more interns than I could comfortably employ. Their only function is to stumble about the place and ask troublesome questions that I have little time to answer. If only our world was more like that of insects. I have plenty of workers and drones, but none of the unwavering loyalty. Bees work and work, the faith in their queen unquestioning and constant. That kind of loyalty is beyond price. These interns of mine have their uses, I suppose. We always need volunteers willing to get close to the queen. So he obviously was that weird guy running around like, I've all bees all over me, and was described as mad by the other one. And also he is mad. And also they use the queen's milk to make the plants grow faster, to produce more oxygen. And that's what the secret was. I'm surrounded by incompetence. One of those imbecile interns got too close to the Queen and she showed him her affection. Quite amusing, though not to him. This means that I must attend another accident debriefing with the board though. Dr. Mellon does love to test me. I see him up on the hearing bench and he grins at me in that supercilious looks that he has perfected over the years. I suppose that I have him to thank for my current position. It was his recommendation to the board that made him hire me in the first place. Still, I believe he has come to enjoy those little power plays. He does so like to keep me under his heel. That, my dear doctor, is only a temporary solution. Once this project is complete, the chess games that we play so often will no longer be our only battleground. Regarding the project, some of the bug eggs failed to hatch properly. I suspect this is why the Queen was more aggressive than usual. There are more than enough drones to continue the collection work. Their unique chemical properties are doing wonders for the plants, although I am running short of interns prepared to work in close proximity to them since the last incident. The worker I appreciate the most is Akiza. I was astonished to discover that she's related to the legendary Dr. Tenchu of the eugenic verse, so Tenchu is not a real person. Got it. I did consider mentioning it to her, but I sense she is oddly ashamed to have him as her ancestor. You did mention it to her, and that's the reason she wrote to him that she did want him to stop while talking about family. If it wasn't for men like him, our profession would be a hollow shell of what it is now. Oh, he is revering him for doing weird stuff in something called the eugenic wars. So he's not a good person. Then again, if it wasn't for him, genetic research wouldn't have been put back by several generations now, would it? The ethical quandaries we face as men of science. Yeah, but ethical quandaries are good. It's a good thing to have. To listen to what makes you human. The insects are restless. They rumble in their apiaries and are more aggressive than usual. My personal deduction is that the presence of the marine thugs aboard the ship are the cause. Armed guards are all over the place. I was stopped by one the other day and asked my reasons for going into hydroponics. Well, after explaining I was head of the damn projects, I had the guard removed from his post and then the ship. This is insanity. How am I expected to progress with these thugs around? I recall complaining about the inundation of interns. If only they were still here now. Both Ivan and Theodore disappeared from their rooms last night, and I've had to speak to security about their whereabouts. They were Akiza's assistants, and now the production of the Queen's Royal Jelly has slowed exponentially. That's been a huge blow, but a rather extraordinary anomaly has appeared in our growth pots. A hitherto undiscovered strain of fungus. Its origin is something of a mystery to me. These fungal growths fascinate. At first I thought it was a common garden variety mold, but after a substantial analysis performed by Akiza, it seems to harbor neuron activity. It is intelligent fungus. Great. That is to say, it seems to exhibit rudimentary signs of intelligence. We've certainly created some unusual species on this deck, but the idea of a quasi-intelligent fungus growing and evolving out of its own volition is exciting and frankly frightening. Some sense, man. That's great. I've asked Akiza and the remnants of her team to cultivate it, but exhibit caution in where it spreads. I was asked by one of Dr. Mellon's assistants if the fungal substance discovered growing in the bowels of the ship had anything to do with us. I lied, of course, but this is becoming alarming. Our experiments flourished at first. We may have lost more stuff recently, but our experiments have been fruitful indeed. So no sense at all. Confidentially, the properties of the fungus is both extraordinary and terrifying. It has the remarkable ability to take control of a living subject's central nervous system and hypothalamus as observed in the monkey we used for testing. The monkey shrieked and thrashed and raged for the first few days after it was exposed and then became quiet, observant, and uncannily intelligent. It's certainly aggressive, but then again, which viruses aren't? And you're not thinking about exposing the whole ship to the fungus when it makes them aggressive and then a bit catatonic and intelligent? Wow. No. We officially lost control of the deck. Eden now truly belongs to the beasts. We've seen strange things. I watched as the fungus took control of the deck as it spread through the staff, and much to my shame I watched their deaths and examined their bodies. Nobody can cross the pods because the bugs are so aggressive that when Solomon went through in a red suit, they ripped it from his body and stung him to death. It took me moments. Sorry. Still, I live in the hope that the insects will remember me, their creator, and perhaps see me as one of their own. Okay. Wow. Good. So, we're done with this episode. The next episode we'll start off by reading through that stuff and then vaporizing this queen milk. See you then.